Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of the Rocket Sports Report. I am the assistant sports editor of the Rocket, Jordyn Bennett.
And I'm the sports editor of the Rocket, Cody Nespor. And we're
here to talk about our first episode. Right now, we're going to talk about men's basketball to kick it off. Men's basketball lost 88-73 at Mercyhurst in round one of the PSAC playoff.
Yeah, that's the big news this week. It was a tough game. It was really close going into halftime. Only 34-32, Mercyhurst was up. But just in the second half, it got away from him. And, I mean, they were on the road. If you don't play well in the second half, you don't shoot well, you're just not going to win. And that's what happened.
It's not something that often happens, but the Rock was out-rebounded this game, and they were missing junior forward Vinny Lastly due to injury. And Lastly, who has played 23.5 minutes per game, averaged 4.7 points, but put 5.2 rebounds per game, has made a big difference. So he may have helped throughout the season.
Yeah, they got out-rebounded 36-35. Mercyhurst had 18 second chance points, and you don't like to make excuses, but you know, if you think if Vinny's in there, grabs a couple of those boards, Mercyhurst doesn't score as many second chance points, maybe this game's different. But at the same time, Mercyhurst was banged up. Everybody's banged up in the playoffs. You just can't make excuses. They didn't defend well in the second half. Mercyhurst shot 63%. You know, you're not going to win if you give up that kind of number.
Now, we don't want to make every story a bad story. There was some highlights to all of this. We had three of our seniors, the only seniors on SRU's team, score in double digits, two who scored their career highs. Jordan Morrow went with 17 points and George Chase with 16, and Naquil Jones in normal fashion scored 19. On the other hand, Murdick Green, who is usually one of the Rock's highest scorers throughout the season, scored very low compared to his usual statistic.
Yeah, that's a good story for Jordan. He puts a lot of the work in. He put a lot of the work in last year and didn't get a lot of minutes, and then this year he wasn't getting a ton of minutes. So it was kind of a feel-good story to see him succeed in this last one. George, I thought, got underutilized in the second half. He shot 7 of 9 in the first half for 16 points, and then he just did not play in the second half. And they were giving him the ball in almost every possession. Mercyhurst defensively changed, started to key in on him, and then they couldn't adapt. Maybe that's without Vinny. Maybe that's, you know, just play in general. But, you know, who's to say? They ended up losing, didn't go far in the playoffs this year. It was head coach Kevin Reynolds' first losing season. They finished 14-15. But it wasn't a bad year by any stretch of the imagination.
Now, speaking of bad years, who didn't have a bad year was SRU's track team. They went into the PSAC championship, came out in second, but the highlight is Ryan Thompson, who won the mile and was named the meet's MVP.
Ryan actually had the fastest mile in the entire PSAC earlier this season. He went in, he won the mile again, and he was named the meet MVP. That let the men take second overall. And on the women's side, we had 2 women qualify for the Nationals in pole vault. One was junior Courtney McQuaid. She took first in the pole vault, and then the freshman Madeline Marshall took second place, and they're both going to Nationals next weekend, and that's got to be an exciting trip, especially for the freshmen.
Now, Nationals is always an exciting thing, but that Nationals will be the last of SRU winter sports, and we will be moving on to the spring season, starting out with baseball. Men's baseball went 2-2 at the Dinwiddie Invitational, Virginia last weekend.
I think it was a good opening to the season. 2-2 is not a great record to come out of, but you know, it was last year they went 13-39, which was well below their average. So I think a good split for the opening was good. The highlight of the performance was either Christian Porterfield, junior catcher. He plays catcher and DH. He went 7 for 15, 467 batting average, 3 RBIs, 2 runs. But the new face on the team, Luca Fuscardo, he's going to play left field this year. 7 for 18, 389 batting average, team high 6 RBIs and 2 runs. Really came in front of the offense, a really nice first impression that he made.
Now on the defensive side, Alex Pantuso, a junior pitcher, had 1 start and went 5 innings with 0 runs, 7 strikeouts, and 4 walks. And behind him came Preston Valencino, senior pitcher, with 1 start, played 5 innings, 1 run, 2 strikeouts, and 1 walk.
Alex is supposed to be the ace this year. That's an ace start for the first game of the year. If he does that, you know, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4 starts, he's going to put up big numbers and going to be a big boost to this team. And then moving on to softball, they were in action 2 weekends ago. They went down to South Carolina to play in a tournament in Myrtle Beach. They only went 1-4, not a great start, but you can expect there's still going to be some rust, especially when they're just coming out of winter into the warm weather down at Myrtle Beach.
Yes, but it is high hopes for third baseman Caitlin Baxter, senior, who went 5 for 14 on a .357 batting average, 3 RBIs, and had 1 run.
Yeah, Kaylee Myers, she's a sophomore. She's getting her first starts this year at shortstop, replacing Katie Kaiser from last year's team. That's a big bill to try and fill. Katie Kaiser was the leader on the offense last year, but Kaylee Myers had a good tournament in South Carolina. She went 5 for 13. That's a .385 batting average, and she scored a run. You know, the production might not be there right away. She is young, just a sophomore. This is pretty much her first action, but that's a good start to a year where she might have to put up some big numbers if they're going to win. And then Emily Nagel, junior in the outfield, she played well last year, and she played well 2 weekends ago. She went 5 for 16, .313 batting average, had a double, and scored a run. She's another one that's going to have to be big if they want to do anything in conference this year.
In the field, they'll be depending on Carly DeRose, senior pitcher who's had 2 starts over the weekend. In 10 innings, had 2 earned runs, but 9 strikeouts and 5 walks. Carly should have an impressive year this year, but we will see what happens.
Yeah, Carly's probably going to be the ace. She was the ace to start last year, but Brooke Dawson actually took over. Brooke didn't have a good first weekend. I think she had an ERA in the 7s. She didn't get a start. But yeah, Carly, those are obviously 2 good starts. They won both those games, or they only won one of those games. But she's going to have a big year. Pitching in general is going to have big years for softball. And then women's lacrosse starts up next Wednesday is their home opener before they go off to spring break trip like all the other teams. So that's some exciting news for Slippery Rock sports. Spring sports is going to start up. Warm weather's going to come, and we're all going to get out there and enjoy it. Unfortunately, we won't be able to enjoy a men's basketball playoff run, but what are you going to do?
Hey, spring sports are starting. Everything's kicking off. It's going to be a great season for SRU Sports, and we will be with you the entire way. I am Jordyn Bennett.
I'm Cody Nespor.
And this is the Rocket Sports Report. Have a good evening.